Hello everyone. Today I'm going to present my paper entitled Education on Tobacco Use in Low and Middle Income Countries. Let me start. Let me start with the introduction. So basically smoking is a global endemic. And smoking has various negative outcomes on people's health. And one interesting issue about smoking is that its prevalence is not equally distributed across the society. For instance, the thing that we call education inequality suggests that higher smoking prevalence is generally observed in lower educated groups. Well, however, this is only a correlational observation, which needs to be causally tested to see if there is really a causal relation between education and smoking behavior. Well, what we see in the literature is that the causal evaluations are generally already available for advanced countries, but there's a lack of evidence from developing or low-income countries. So in this case, in this study, we try to focus on a panel of low and middle-income countries to investigate the causal link between education and smoking behavior. So why are we interested in smoking? Well, basically, smoking is a threat to person's health, and quitting or reducing the tobacco consumption has substantial improvements in human capital. Obviously, as a side effect, this program has positive external effects, such as better health, better capital investment, and obviously higher economic welfare. Where does this come from? Obviously from longer lives, more productive lives, and obviously less burden on national health system. And to do this, we use the exogenous variation in education caused by the changes in compulsory schooling laws. So let's see what we have in the literature. As I said before, the literature mainly focuses on advanced countries, and the results are not uniform. For instance, several studies find no cause effect of education on smoking, for instance, in Britain, in Germany, or in Australia and Canada. Meanwhile, some other studies find a causal relation, for instance, for men in Northern Ireland, or for women in Germany and in general in France. And also findings on the US are also mixed. For instance, Heckman's study in 2018 finds a positive effect. That is, education reduces the smoking prevalence, but the recent study says there's no causal impact. So the data, we will be using the mixed surveys. These are called multi-indicator cluster surveys. These are macro-level surveys done at household level and sponsored by the UNICEF, and they are specifically conducted in low and middle-income countries. These surveys are available in 6 rounds, but obviously not every country are surveyed in each round. So we need to find those countries who have changed their compulsory schooling laws, so in order to see a variation in education coming from the increase in compulsory schooling, and those countries who have available surveys that will, with observations from both affected and unaffected cohorts from the policy change. So basically, we identified 12 low and middle income countries. These are Chad, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Ghana, Guinea-Bissau, North Macedonia, Mongolia, Paraguay, Senegal, Congo, and Ukraine. And you see the rounds in which those countries are surveyed. We have surveys for females and male participants, and you will see more observations for females because these surveys are actually conducted to examine the living conditions of children and women in the society. And another important issue is how the schooling policies change. In this chart, in this table, we see when the law that came in effect, that changed the compulsory schooling laws, and you will see the old and new policy columns here. For instance, how we read this table in 2006 in Chad, compulsory schooling was increased from 6 years to 10 years, which means that considering the school starting ages for different countries, those who were born in or after 1994 are subject to higher compulsory schooling, while the older ones are subject to the previous compulsory schooling policy. And let's look at the descriptive statistic. We will have different measures of smoking behavior, as you will see here. Ever smoked, current smoker, number of cigarettes smoked in the last day, number of days smoked in the last month, whether the participant smoked every day last month, or whether the participant consumed other tobacco products other than cigarettes in the last month. Then we have the age. Here the HAC is a high compulsory schooling, means when measures whether the participant is subject to higher compulsory schooling policy or not. We have a wealth score, marital status, ever gave birth for female participants, and the data whether the participants lives in rural or an urban area. So then what's the methodology? So we want to identify the causal effect. That the causal effect that comes from the exogenous increase in education motivated by the change in compulsory schooling. So we will be focusing on 15 and 49-year-old women and men separately, those who are subject to higher and lower compulsory schooling policies, and we will compare their outcomes, their smoking-related outcomes, to see if there is a causal impact of education on smoking behavior, obviously with controlling for other potential covariates. So we will estimate the following specification with a linear regression. On the left-hand side, we have various smoking-related outcomes of individual life from country C and surveyed at round T. HAC, as I said, stands for high compulsory schooling and takes the value of 1 if the participant is subject to high compulsory schooling, and 0 if they are subject to the lower years of compulsory schooling. And X is a vector of individual-specific characteristics, including age, wealth score, marital status, birth history, lives in rural area, and we have several set of fixed variables. As you will see, mu t, sigma, rho, and gamma stands for mixed round, country fixed effects, region within the country fixed effects, and age within fixed effects, respectively. And we also have fixed effects for age groups, which are defined as fall in the 4 age groups. And also the age effects are allowed to differ across countries. So we also have mixed round country by mixed round fixed effects, which control for factors that are common to all the individuals in a given country at the time of the survey. So this could include any other policy that could affect smoking behavior for the whole society, will be captured by these fixed effects. So we will use ordinary least squares separately for women and men samples, and we're interested in this beta coefficient. If this beta coefficient is statistically significant, then we will read this as having more education has a causal effect on smoking behavior. But first, we need to establish a kind of a first stage result, which is that does increasing in the years of compulsory school actually increase the level of education? So we will look for 2 different education outcomes, those whether the participant has above primary school or not, or we will have the level of education, which is listed as 1 primary, 2 secondary, and 3 above secondary. So basically, any significantly positive number in any of these outcomes suggests that those people who are subject to high compulsory schooling actually receive higher amount of education. So this basically somehow establishes the validity of our instrument for education. So basically, let's come to our final results. the impact of education on smoking. So we will have different smoking indicators, whether the person ever smoked, whether he's a current smoker, or the number of cigarettes smoked in the last 24 hours. So you will see that the policy has a very significant effect for, especially for women. By the way, we have 3 different columns for each woman, as you will see from the, as you can see from the notes. We have increased number of control variables, and the 3rd column is the most extensive model, which includes all the potential control variables that are listed in the data descriptions. So we will concentrate on the results from the 3rd column. So basically what this says is that having a higher amount of education significantly lowers smoking related indicators, especially for women. This is true for being ever smoked, or proper probability of being a current smoker, or smoking number of cigarettes in the last 24 hours. Also, number of days smoked in the last month, being an everyday smoker, or on the probability of consuming other tobacco products. But if you consider men, the policy is only effective on the probability of being an ever smoker, and also probability of consuming other tobacco products than cigarettes. So basically, let me conclude with the discussion. So basically, women with higher education are obviously less likely to have ever smoked, currently smoke, or consume other tobacco products. Also, they smoke fewer number of cigarettes, and they smoke fewer number of days in 1 month. We can also calculate the size of the effect. So basically, the policy reduces the probability of having ever smoked by 18%, and the probability of being a current smoker by 25% for women. And the effect size increases, for instance, if you go to the number of cigarettes, or the probability of consuming other tobacco products. So, but the effects are very less pronounced for men. They're only significant for ever having smoked, and for consuming other tobacco products than cigarettes. But the effects are obviously lower than those calculated for women. So basically, what you find it's real is that in low and middle income countries, education causally reduces smoking prevalence, especially for women. And this means, this suggests that other policies needs to complement education policies for discouraging men from reducing their smoking behavior in low and middle income countries. So with this study contributes to the literature by providing causal evidence of education on smoking behavior from a panel of low and middle income countries. And thank you for your attention, and I'll be happy to answer questions if you have any. Thank you.